Welcome back to Real Talk. This is me, Nick, keeping you guys company, keeping you entertained, and talking about all the things that is happening right now in the UK. That's right. We're talking about a lot of these things going on right now. One of this is the Indian variant. We're going to be talking about that as we go along in the show. We'll be talking about the new rules that they want, new policies that they want to set up in Northern Ireland. That's right. The Northern Ireland Sea, the Irish Sea, and right now we're going to be talking about though mostly is how the lockdown is easing in England, Wales, and most of Scotland. If you're wondering who this is, my name is Nick, and I'm going to keep you guys company all the way until 6 p.m. That's right. And hey, this is a real talk. And if you have any, opinions or you guys have something to say, you can always hit me up. Feel free to hit us up on the numbers. It is 07852 473 473. And that's right. Hey, you can also check us out on our webpage, which is www.relaxradio.net. And also don't forget you can download the app from the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store to carry us all day, every day. And also, don't forget, you can, like I said, you guys can download us and check us out on social media. We're pretty big on all of these streaming. Like I said, all of these things that is happening in the UK and across the globe. And yeah, in case you guys are wondering, also you can check us out on those platforms. We go on Twitter. We're pretty big on Twitch. We're big on Facebook. We are big on Instagram. So check us out and make sure you guys do hit us up with the like, share, and comments. And yeah, we're talking about all these things that is happening right now in the UK. And one of the issues that we will be addressing as we go along in the show is how the lockdown has been easing in England and Wales and most of Scotland. So this is just, all a part of it. And, they say that people must continue to play their part in stopping the coronavirus. This is what Boris Johnson has said as lockdown rules eases in England, Wales, and most of Scotland. So yeah, millions can now socialize. That's right. In limited numbers, hug loved ones, and visit pubs and restaurants inside. So yeah, the ban on all of this, though, is crazy. If you really look at it, all of these things are going on right now. And the ban on all of these things are just, something is just a part of it. And like I said, millions can be they can socialize indoors. There's been a limited number of people. You can hug loved ones and you can do all of those things and visit the pubs and restaurants inside. That's fine. So the ban on foreign travel has also been lifted. That's good news. People are going to be super excited about it. When you think about it, you get to travel the country again, you get to travel the world again, but only to the countries that have been greenlit. So that's right. The countries that have the greenlit zone, you can definitely go to travel to those countries. So one of those countries is Portugal. Then we got Israel as well. And countries like that you can go and visit to because they are in the UK's green list. Yeah, that's right. So Mr. Johnson has said that we have reached another milestone in our roadmap out of lockdown, but we must take this next step with a heavy dose of caution. So the rule changes come as the variant, that was first identified in India. The Indian variant at the moment continues to spread in the UK with the mass testing rolled out to hotspots, including to Bolton in the greater Manchester and parts of London and Sefton as well. So Mr. Johnson said the government was keeping the variant under close observation and was taking swift action where infection rates are rising. That's right. So Business Secretary Kwaski Kwarteng has said that he was very confident the government would be able to lift England's remaining restrictions on the 21st of June, but he can't guarantee that. So he did say, okay, this is, something we can do. This is something we can, moving forward. Hopefully we can release all the restrictions in the UK by the time 21st of June hits. But he also said, though, that he cannot guarantee it as of yet. And there is flexibility here because we have another 5 weeks until the reopening. And we will be revisiting all of the data. So, yeah, they also said, that he continued to say that there will be different data. The variant will spread, perhaps in another, the variant will spread, and perhaps in different ways, we will have more information about the efficacy of the vaccine rollout. And then a week before the 21st, we will take the action. So yeah, Mr. Kwarteng said that he did not want to stigmatize people over vaccine hesitancy, but added, we are not exactly where we want to be among certain communities. But I think that the take-up has been much greater in the last few months and much more. And more people are actually convinced, that that this is the way to keep themselves and their families safe. So yeah, more than 6,200 people were vaccinated in Bolton at the weekend. So the Indian variant right now makes up the majority of the new cases that has been found in Bolton in the greater Manchester. So yeah, prior to the push though, about 10,000 people in the highest priority groups were yet to be vaccinated. That's right. They've not been completely vaccinated as of yet. So they were supposed to get vaccinated. That's when the surge of the virus hit, and that's when the surge of this new case of virus, the new variant, the Indian variant, that suddenly started blowing up. And this is one of the reasons why people are now getting more and more vaccinated. There's been a lot of concern about this. So scientists have believed that this variant spread, can spread out more easily in comparison to the English variant, the Kent variant that is, and the Brazilian variant. So yeah, all of these early data suggest vaccine can still work. However, the exact impact of the vaccine, well, how effective the vaccine is going to be, if any at all, is still to be assumed. They don't really have anything concrete as of yet. They've not really come to a decision and said, okay, hey, listen, this is the vaccine, and this is how it's going to work. And this is how the vaccine is going to work and how effective it's going to be. They've not really come to a conclusion for that. And yeah, this is just part of it. And another reason why there's been a lot of these arising concerns right now in the UK, and this is just all, like I said, all of this is just a part of these whole buildup of situations. So when you look at it, there's also, like I said, all these scientists are talking about all this. So Sir Jeremy Farrar, a member of the government's independent scientific advisory group that is called the SAGE, said the lifting of the rules was the most difficult policy decision of the last 15 months or so. And he also said that it is very, very finely balanced. Sir Jeremy said the variant is becoming dominant in parts of the UK, and yet vaccination across the country has been extraordinarily successful. So he also went on to say, I think we will see an increase of cases and infections over the coming weeks as some of the restrictions are lifted. But the key question is whether we have decoupled increased transmission in the number of people who do get infected from the number of people who get ill and need to go to hospitals. So yeah, he also added a very careful lifting is reasonable, but we may have to reverse that if there is escape from the vaccines. That's right. These are just arising concerns right now, what they're talking about. These are the issues that is oppressing the country. And especially when you look at it, like I said, all these issues are spreading out right now, and then the issues are rising. And yeah, a lot of this, there's been concern of this whole variant happening in the UK. And yeah, with what is going on, like I said, with what is going on right now, hopefully, the government can find a way to absolve this and make sure, that we don't get these issues. These issues don't keep spreading. Hopefully this is something, that can be solved as well. And yeah, a lot of these countries right now are investigating this, and especially the UK right now, we are investigating. The government scientists have been investigating this new variant. And yeah, there is just so much more that we don't really know. It's not really 100%, set in stone as of yet. So Mr. Sir Jeremy Farrar also continued to say that this is becoming more dominant in parts of the UK, and vaccination has been extremely successful. And that's some good news right there. If you think about it, the rates, the number of cases of, especially when it comes to the Kent variant rather, has significantly dropped. So there's a very big significant drop when it comes to the amount of cases, and the probability of transmission has decreased overall. So this is some good news as well, although there has been a variant spreading right now in the country. So he also went on to say, a very careful lifting is going to have to be reasonable, but we may have to reverse that if there is escape from the vaccine. So yeah, the British Medical Association, the BMA, which represents doctors, have said it was a real worry that the easing was still going on ahead while the Indian variant was spreading and many younger people were not vaccinated. So yeah, while lockdowns are easing across England, Scotland, and Wales, the changes are different in each nation. So yeah, Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon tweeted, "This is a long-awaited moment, but to remember that the virus is, it still poses a big threat. So please continue to be cautious and be very careful." And that's, Nicola Sturgeon tweeting all of that on Twitter. and that's the first minister of Scotland. She's talking about how everyone have been excited, and people have been trying to address all of this, and they say although you're excited, although you want to get back into it, make sure you guys, it's still a threat. Make sure you guys be protected, be cautious, and be very careful. So yeah, two areas in Scotland actually. So it's Glasgow and Moray have not had their rules eased out after a spike in recent cases. So yeah, these are just goes to show that not everyone is safe at the moment. We got to make sure, we got to understand that although it may look like the country is getting back to normal, we are not completely there yet. We still have a lot more to go. And these are just the very beginning steps. These are like the baby steps when you consider what is going on right now in the UK. So yeah, London Mayor Sadiq Khan has called for young adults in 5 boroughs of London where there are cases of the Indian variant to be vaccinated earlier than planned. So yeah, Health Secretary Matt Hancock is also due to make a statement on the COVID to MPs in the House of Commons. And yeah, they say, this isn't a throw open the doors moment. And we won't see a photo op of the Prime Minister essentially enjoying all his indoor pizza or drinking a pint of beer. Ministers want people to enjoy themselves, but please do it sensibly. That's what he's trying to say. Make sure you are responsible. Make sure you behave. Because end of the day, even if you are vaccinated, like I said, and I keep stressing on this, I emphasize, even if you are vaccinated, there is still the likelihood of you transmitting the virus or even having it yourself. You could be a carrier and you wouldn't even know about it. So make sure you guys stay safe. Make sure, you watch out for that. And like I said, all this, there's been a lot of this rising caution, and the government has been trying to encourage the people to be more cautious. So Boris Johnson also said that the roadmap out of the lockdown in England is irreversible. So this is going to happen. He's going to make sure that this goes through. But in a video on social media this morning, he says it's only irreversible. It's only going to happen 100% if we follow all of the rules. And this is what he meant. And he was just essentially adding caution into the situation. And he said there's a difference in tone between ministers, when they talk about the next step in England due on the 21st of June. So yeah, Prime Minister say that the Indian variant might make it even more difficult. But the business secretary says they're hopeful, confident, and that it'll happen. So there's a growing number of tensions between national authorities and areas with higher rates of the Indian variant across over the vaccines. So when it comes to vaccine, everyone is fighting all over it. People are going crazy, and there's always this rising tension. So the mayor of London is just the latest local leader to ask for permission to start jabbing younger people, and some places are doing it anyway. So that essentially goes against the government policy, which is to prioritize first doses for the over 38s and the second doses for the over 50s. So what they're essentially doing is they're breaking the rules. This is what is happening. The government has advised a lot of these local ministers to make sure, that the people, the recommended doses should go to according to the priority in the priority list. So people over the ages of 38 should be getting their first dose, and the second dose should be going to the people over the ages of 50s. So yeah, this is what's happening, and it's not really quite happening because a lot of people are complaining about it. So in a statement issued on Sunday, in the evening on the lifting of the rules in England, the Prime Minister said everyone must be playing their part by getting tested twice a week, coming forward for your vaccine when you're called, and remembering hands, face, space, and fresh air. So yeah, anyone in England and Scotland can order their free lateral flow tests, which gives results in 30 minutes. That's right. These are really rapid tests. And even if they do not have symptoms, they're still allowed to get it. And in Wales and Northern Ireland, they will be available for certain people, such as those who cannot work from home. So yeah, these are just some of the things that is happening. And taking a look at the latest government figures, though, it shows that a further 1,926 COVID cases have been recorded in the UK, while a further 4 people have died. Although it might not be much, you think, okay, this is not a general improvement. This is a very marginal improvement if you think about it. Although we have lost lives, at the same time, the situation is getting better as we progress. So the number of people in the UK who have received their first dose of the vaccine has now currently topped 36.5 million. Let that sink in. That's 36.5 million individuals in the UK have already gotten their first dose. So the number of second doses given is at 20.1 million. That's right. So I'm glad to see that people are taking it very seriously and making sure that they get themselves vaccinated. And hey, if you got vaccinated or if you're waiting for your second dose, let me know on the comments below. You can always hit us up, or you can WhatsApp me on 0785 2473 That's right. You feel free to call me up and let me know. And Transport Secretary Grant Shapps also, he's been previously said that people will be able to use the app. There's this app that right now that is spreading in the UK, and they're trying to popularize. So it's essentially the NHS app, which is going to be different from the NHS COVID-19 app, to prove that people have had the vaccine. So, like I said, Grant Shapps has previously said people will be able to use the app at border controls, although the government says people should still check countries' entry requirements as tests or quarantines might still be needed. So this is essentially people who want to travel abroad, people who want to travel between the nations. Well, these are the steps that they have to follow. These are the requirements they have to satisfy, they have to meet before they can enter into that particular country. So travelers can now, like I said, visit 12 countries on the government's green list. And some of these countries are Portugal and Israel. And so basically, if you do enter these countries, you will not be required to be isolated upon your return. So once you come back to the country, you're not going to be expected to isolate, because these green countries have been certified by the government saying, okay, these countries are safe to travel. The spread of the virus is not as much as you see in all the other countries. So this is a particularly safer country. But we're still supposed to do tests before arrival to that country and after arrival to that country. So, and again, as you come back to the UK, you're supposed to do tests to make sure that you don't have the virus. So yeah, these are just, a lot of these precautions that is going on right now. And people are making sure, especially all of these government bodies are making sure that the people follow through with all of this. So hopefully, we can get through with this. I mean, look, people want to travel. People still want to go up and about and visit and, see the world. And I get how people are rushing and thinking, okay, the last year was horrible. There's a lot of catching up to do. I know a lot of people personally who are traveling right now, and they say, they're trying to make the best use of what they can, especially for this year. And it makes you wonder, okay, life, they say, is short, which it is. So what they're trying to do is travel, see the world more as much as they can, and make up for the lost time. But also, you got to remember, just because you can travel doesn't mean you're safe. You're completely 100% safe. Make sure you still follow the precautions. Make sure you don't you sanitize. You keep the social distancing. If you need to wear your mask, so you prevent any further spread of the disease. So, because end of the day, like I always say, we are accountable for all of the things that we do. And with that being said, we are going to be taking a real quick break, and we'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the show. This is Relax Radio with me, Nick, keeping you guys company, keeping you entertained. And, with what is going on right now in the UK, that's right. And hey, you saw that little clip it earlier. If you want to hit us up, you can always call us up on those numbers. It is 07852 473 Those are the numbers. That's right. You can always feel free to call us up and let us know, what your thoughts are and opinions. But right now, well, we're gonna get back into it. We're gonna be talking about the serious stuff in the UK. So one of the things that I'll be talking about is how the UK has been proposing new the Irish seafood checks from October onwards. So yeah, this is something that they are planning. Hopefully, they want to implement this by the time October hits. And yeah, the UK is proposing to phase in new Irish sea borders checks on food products in 4 stages from October. So yeah, the details contained in a Northern Ireland Protocol roadmap shared with the UK, with the EU rather. And the protocol is basically, the part of the Brexit deal, which creates a trade border between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. That's right. So in March, the UK delayed introducing some new border processes without EU agreement. So yeah, that led to the EU starting legal proceedings against the UK. So yeah, there's been a lot of this rising tension between the UK and the EU as well. And all this is fueled by the Brexit situation, the vaccine rollout. So it just goes to show, why the situation is very complex right now with the relationship, especially between the EU and the UK. So yeah, at the end of March, the UK sent the roadmap to the EU, which sets out how the two sides should work together to implement the protocol, and it's formed a starting point for ongoing technical talks between officials. So yeah, they're talking about all these things. There's the officials are talking about this, and they are discussing, possible ways that they could handle this whole situation. I mean, this has been also a rising concern. The Irish Sea, the is just another concern in the government, especially in the UK's plan and the EU's plan as well. So all of this is something that they've been discussing. And yeah, back in Sunday, the UK's chief negotiator Lord Frost urged the EU to rapidly find a new approach and new solutions. So yeah, the UK roadmap documents over that. Essentially, this whole document covers more than 20 over 20 separate issues, including medicines, access to databases, pet travel, and the VAT treatment of second-hand cars. So when you think about it, we can see, in black and white, the problems with the protocol that have been identified by both sides, rather than relying on leaks and second-hand accounts. So that's pretty useful when you think about it. And there are also a lot of issues to be resolved. So reminding us, that they're agreeing a deal is one thing, and implementing it, in the real world is just another thing. So yeah, the whole roadmap shows the potential trouble ahead. So right now, if the UK scheme for sending money, supermarket goods from Great Britain to Northern Ireland is going to, be phased during 2021 and 2022, maybe 2023 as well, then the UK will probably have to ask the EU for another extension to the grace period between European laws will be fully respected, which won't go down. Essentially, it's not going to go down well in Brussels. So yeah, the EU has also need to to agree that the British regulated medicines can be sold in Northern Ireland. So when exactly will the Northern Ireland executives start building the bricks, and they're gonna more custom facilities that the UK has promised the EU, but which are so offensive to the recent leaders? The dates are still secret. Nobody really knows when they're gonna do this. And a moment of truth, will be brewing with the Brexit minister Lord Frost suggesting that in June or July the UK will decide whether the protocol can be made to work in the long term. So yeah, the movement of food products from Great Britain to Northern Ireland has been the biggest practical challenge of the sea border. So yeah, Northern Ireland right now has remained a part of the EU single market for goods, while the rest of the UK has been left out. And yeah, this has been a major issue, right? So all that means, all the food products entering Northern Ireland from Great Britain need to be professionally certified and are subject to new checks and controls at these ports. So the two sides agreed an initial 3-month grace period, which meant supermarkets did not have to comply to, with all the EU's usual certification requirements. But the UK unilaterally extended that grace period until October. So yeah, the UK made that decision, and they said, okay, you know what? We're going to extend this whole grace period until October. So yeah, the roadmap suggests what should happen next. So yeah, the four phases. The document states that the UK will roll out official certification in four phases. So there's going to be four phases, when it comes to this. And yeah, all of this has been suggested with the data, and it suggested that the phase one in October will cover fresh meat products, and phase two at the end of January 2022 will cover dairy products, plants, and wine as well. So yeah, phase three and four would cover fruit and vegetable marketing standards, pet food, organics, and composite products. So yeah, dates are not given for phases three and four, with the document saying, a full timeline requiring, and it's going to require additional clarity on infrastructure and staffing, as well as progress on integrating the UK and the EU certification system. So yeah, it's not clear if the EU would consider these timelines to be reasonable. Well, the EU has not been quite glad about this. They're not quite the biggest fan of the UK at the moment. Like I said, with all this Brexit situation going. So some details have been included, though, on the UK's Digital Assistance Scheme, so the DAS, which is intended to digitalize the agri-food certifications and verification process. So it was said that the first user should be registered next month, with final testing in August. So all this is going to roll out in October, and integration with the EU system in January. So yeah, some parts of the roadmap was vague, but for example, no target dates are suggested for the construction of the permanent border control, posts at the Northern Ireland ports, despite these facilities having planning permission and funding. If you think about it, the document added the government will set out a detailed delivery plan for permanent facilities. So yeah, in other areas, there is going to be a greater commitment to giving dates. So the UK, for instance, said it proposes to issue guidelines and guidance, by the end of this month on the long-term arrangements for business to consumer parcel deliveries from Great Britain to Northern Ireland. So yeah, this is, something that they are planning at the moment. Hopefully they'll get through with it. Hopefully this is something that will happen. And yeah, like I said, all of this is something they're going to do. So on back in Monday, the outgoing Northern Ireland first Prime Minister Arlene Foster said, "We need to see action in relation to the Northern Ireland's protocol." This is all from the UK government. So yeah, Mrs. Foster later said, they told MLAs that Lord Frost recognized that there would be no unionists in favor of the current arrangements. So Mrs. Foster did go to say, instead of listening to words, we actually need to see action in relation to this protocol. So this is one of the issues, the big issues right now that is being fostered into the country. And yeah, speaking from Dublin on Monday, the Chancellor, the Irish Prime Minister Michael Martin, said the Northern Ireland Protocol was the best outcome for dealing with damage caused by the Brexit. So yeah, during an online meeting with the Institute of International and European Affairs, Mr. Martin said people needed to focus on implementation of what had been agreed. So yeah, the Taoiseach said Brexit had caused damage which could not be undone. The damage are, essentially what they're trying to say is the damages have been irreparable, but added that the authorities must now do, what they could to limit the damage. So essentially they're trying to do a lot of damage control. And Mr. Martin did say that there was a process to resolve all of these difficulties, and said Ireland and EU were in the solution mode. So, they are keeping their fingers crossed regarding this. And yeah, he also said that he was concerned about the mood in unionism in relation to the Northern Ireland Protocol. And they argued, Northern Ireland protocols did not interfere with the principle of consent and was not an issue of identity or sovereignty. So they suggested, the arrangement could be very advantageous, to sectors in Northern Ireland, including foreign direct investments. And the Taoiseach also said that the audience had been reading about how the protocol was helping Northern Ireland farmers to sell milk south of the Irish border. So yeah, this is all what they were talking about. And they said he said he had a sense many more of these moderate people were happy with the protocol, but were keeping their heads down. So Mr. Martin added his government would not stop being an open door to unionists. So yeah, that's just some of the things they are addressing at the moment. And yeah, let's see how it goes with the situation. There has been, like I said, rising tensions between the EU and the UK, with regards to the Northern Ireland border checks and the sea. So let's see how it goes. Hopefully these things will resolve, and will it be good for for the UK, we never really know what is going on. Will it affect Northern Ireland? Well, it will. It should definitely affect them in such a way. So let's see how it goes. As only time can tell as time goes by. Hopefully, some of these issues will be resolved by then. But with that being said, we are going to be taking a real quick break, and we'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the show. Just like that, if you guys want to be a part of it, all you got to do is simply call us up on those numbers. It is 07852473473. Those are the numbers you can get in touch with me with. And hey, if you want to check us out on our social media, you can always check us out on relaxradio.net. We're also pretty big on social media as well. We're on big on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, and we're on so much more. And also, don't forget to check us out on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. You can carry us all day, every day, 365, 24/7. That's right. We have a lot of these good stuff that we're talking about, and one of the stuff that is of big concern right now is how UK farmers sound alarm over Australia trade talks. Yeah, that is something that is going on right now, and people are afraid of what is going on. Like, why is the UK making deals with Australia, and why are we having trade deals essentially with another country in the UK? This is the wonders why and like I said, all of these issues are, things that they are planning to talk over. Hopefully, the right now, like I said, the people are concerned. A lot of these farmers also are concerned about this possible issue right now. And yeah, one of this is, the UK farmers have expressed their alarm over these reports that the government plans to deal with Australia. They're going to be doing trade dealings, so they're going to make its food and farming imports cheaper. I mean, is that how is that gonna that's gonna affect the country though? That's what they have to realize. So this move is being considered as part of a free trade pact with Australia. So yeah, the UK government hopes will be a springboard for similar deals with other countries. But UK farming unions have warned of irreversible damage from a bad deal. So there is speculation in the cabinet, and it's all split over the move. And Labour has accused the government of being a sellout, and they're saying, "Hey, you're selling our nation." So what is going on? As with many countries, farming imports from Australia face tariffs or taxes, making lamb and beef, for example, more expensive. But in post-Brexit world, the UK government is keen to strike free trade deals and has now indicated that farmers may have to prepare for lowering of tariffs on agricultural imports. So yeah, the government, the Department, of International Trade, the DIT, would not draw directly on all of this. And it reports it is willing to concede to zero tariffs in return for an Australian deal. So yeah, that's the struggle right now. And they'll be talking about this. And it's just crazy. They said that a deal would be an important stepping stone to joining the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a sprawling trade group essentially that includes New Zealand, China, Japan, Vietnam, and as well as Australia. So a deal would allow the UK farmers, even greater access to growing consumer markets in Asia. So the whole point of this whole trade deal is to broaden the country's horizons, broaden the UK's horizons right now. And yeah, these are just parts of it, what they want to do. And this is how they're going to do it. They're saying, okay, this is how we're going to be approaching this. We want to make trade deals. This is what we're going to do. And it'll broaden our horizons. It'll broaden the aspect, the economy of the country is going to get boosted because of this, is what they're saying right now. And it's crazy, all this is going out. And all of this, is going to be growing in Asia. That the whole plan is to target to get into the Asian countries as well. And this is what the DIT has said, and adding that it would not allow importers to undercut the farming industry or food standards. So yeah, the National Farmers Union warned that its members will struggle to compete if a zero tariff trade on lambs and beef goes ahead. So yeah, the NFU president Minetta Bitters rather said, "We know that if we are to open up the opportunities of a new market overseas for UK farmers, we will have to offer greater access to our own markets in return. So this trade-off deal needs to be balanced, and we need to make sure concessions to our hugely valuable home markets are not given away lightly." So there is a very, very real risk that if we get it wrong, UK farming will suffer irreversible damage rather than flourish in the way we all desire, to the detriment of our environment or food security and our rural communities. So there's been a rift right now that is spreading, and farmers' concerns are reportedly shared by some members of the cabinet. So yeah, the Financial Times, they were talking about all of these things, and they also said, that Environmental Secretary George Eustace said that, and the Cabinet Office, rather, Mr. Gove, Michael Gove, said at a loggerhead with International Trade Secretary Liz Truss and the Brexit Minister Lord Frost over granting all of these tariff-free access to Australian and possibly New Zealand farmers. So if that is one of their wonders, there's like, okay, if we are going to be doing this, if we are going to get access to these avenues, which is, the Asian avenues and all these other avenues, export to countries like Australia, New Zealand, we will have to reduce the tariffs based on these kind of countries, these companies from Australia and New Zealand for farmers from these countries. So, asked about the rift by all of this, Mr. Eustace has said, I'm not going to get into the discussions that are going on in the government about individual trade agreements. So in any discussion on any part of government policy, and trade agreements are no exception, there is a discussion and there is a consensus. So they say all of these things. I mean, these are all just a lot of just beating around the bush and not really getting to the point, and they're trying to avoid answering all of this. So they all of this just leads up to the issues right now. So these trade deals are about countries, trying to secure the best for their businesses and for their people. So when working down the menu of issues, the hardest to digest, typically agriculture, is normally left to the last. So Australia aims to get tariffs and quotas dropped for all goods, which on the UK government's own estimate could boost imports from the country by 83%, mainly due to beef and lamb. So there's worrying for some farmers, though. Some farmers are concerned about this, and they are voicing their issues regarding this, and they are saying, this is not something that they're really happy or really super psyched about. And the government says any liberalization would take years, and Australia isn't taking full advantage of the tariff-free quotas it's got now. So, but the key, is what it signals for other trade deals and policies. So an agreement with Australia will likely be the first one struck by the UK, with a nation with which it didn't have an agreement while part of the EU. So even before we became part, after the whole Brexit, before the whole Brexit situation, we never had any direct dealings with Australia. So right now we are looking at every avenue. The UK is looking for different avenues to strike deal with, so we can boost our economy. This is just all a part of. This is all part of the process and the procedure what they're trying to do right now. And if you look at it, like I said, Trade Secretary Liz Truss is keen to strike it fast, and as a springboard for members of a wider Trans-Pacific trading bloc. And this is what they want to do right now, and they are planning to implement something like this. Hopefully, in the near future, this is something that can benefit the country overall. Is the whole point of all this? That is essentially what they are trying to talk about, and. But a lot of people, like I said, are not quite on board with it. A lot of farmers, especially, are not on board with it as of yet. These are still concerns that they want to address, and hopefully, the government can give them an answer and a response. But even though the response, the people are still not going to be satisfied with it. It's just the way things work. If you really look at the figures, it's crazy with what is going on. So yeah, like I said, Boris Johnson has been talking about this, and. All of these things, all of these issues, and they are trying to address this. And speaking of Boris Johnson, he also said that it's too soon to change or to decide on roadmap changes. So right now, it'll be a few days before the government can draw any conclusion about whether to deviate from England's current roadmap out of lockdown. And this is what the Prime Minister has said directly. Yeah, this is these are things that they want to address right now, and they are talking about it. And the government has been saying, okay, this is the issue, and we are going to address it like. And these are just what the government wants to do. And when you think about it, all of these is the issues right now. So the government plans to end the remaining legal limits on social contact, like I said, and I think everyone should be aware by now, is the 21st of June. But there's an increasing concern about the possible spread of this whole variant, the new variant. So Boris Johnson has said that nothing conclusive in the current data to suggest the plan needed to change. So there's nothing really that he's talking about. So data from hotspots such as Bolton was under close review, he said. And he also said that the situation with the Indian variant was was under very, very careful watch and close review, and that we're looking at all the data as it comes from all places like Bolton, Blackburn, Bedford, and Sefton as well. So yeah, Mr. Johnson said they were trying to understand if the Indian variant was more transmissible. They wanted to know if this one is going to spread out faster than the other viruses, and faster than all the other variants, and to what extent the vaccine can prove efficient. Will it be able to protect us against something like this? Will it be able to protect us against an issue like this? Is the concern right now, and they are trying to make sure that they are trying to address this. And this is what the government right now, Mr. Boris Johnson, is saying. And he said that they're going to wait for more data. Once they get more conclusive data, they will decide on the proper procedure or how to go about this. So on back on Monday, like yesterday, the government said 86 local councils in England had 5 or more cases of the variant first discovered in India, which is thought to be more transmissible. So yeah, in Bolton, a new vaccine center has opened up, and ministers have been stepping up calls for people to book vaccinations as soon as they're offered appointments. So yeah, the government has been trying to do this. And yeah, the Prime Minister's official spokesperson said that while the government was not ruling out measures such as local lockdowns at this stage, it was too early to speculate on what the measures would be needed to be taken place. So if asked if a decision was expected sooner than the 14th of June on progressing to the final step of England's roadmap, well, the spokesperson said that in relation to the certification and social distancing, ministers do want to update pubs and businesses, if possible, all of this before the 14th of June. But they also added they needed to allow the expert to do their work and couldn't be more specific on the timing. So yeah, the government has already warned its new review of social distancing rules, set to take place by the end of May be delayed because of concerns over this new variant. So this new variant is not something to sneeze at. A lot of people, I mean, pun intended, a lot of people also have said that this is an ongoing issue, and they are raising their voices and voicing their concerns rather on this. And millions of people, although they are enjoying their new freedoms, such as drinking indoors in pubs, being able to hug their loved ones, traveling abroad for the first time in months, all of this is under the latest relaxation of rules across England, Wales, and most of Scotland. But the Labour has been accusing the government of giving out conflicting and confused about advice. They're saying, okay, you're able to travel to the countries on the amber travel list, where people must get quarantined for up to 10 days on their return to the UK. So this is what a lot of people are like. Even Labour is not quite on board with this, and they're saying how it's like you're sending mixed signals. You're telling them not to go there. It's an amber country. There are a lot of cases as well, not as much as the red zones, but there's still cases and still active. The virus is still active there. So they're asking, okay, how can you even approve something like this, is what they're saying. So the government's guidance is people should not travel to these amber list countries. But earlier, Environmental Secretary George Eustace suggested that people could travel to such destinations if they feel the need to visit family or friends. And asked about the issue, Mr. Johnson said it was very important people grasp what the amber list is, not somewhere to go on holiday. He said travelers should only go to these countries for pressing family or business reasons, and those who break their self-isolation period on returning to the UK from these destinations could face fines of up to £10,000. And this is, just the amount of the fines that you could be facing. So yeah, this is just crazy news right there. And yeah, hopefully people are smarter than that. Hopefully people are not going to be, but then, there's always going to be the one or two cases where people don't really listen, and they just feel like they want to travel abroad, and, they don't really give any concern to all the other people around them. So hopefully they will be isolated. But if you do break these rules upon coming back to the country, if you do break self-isolation periods, well, you could be facing fines of up to £10,000. So yeah, that's a lot of money. So make sure you guys try not to do anything. Try not to do something that you wouldn't do. Is my recommendation. And yeah, with that being said, we are going to be taking a real quick break, and we'll be right back after this. And hey, in case you guys have any thoughts on the matter of what is going on, restriction, and where we can travel right now, do feel free to call us up on the numbers. It is 07852473473. And also don't forget to check us out on our social media pages. We're all big on Instagram, we're pretty big on Facebook as well, and you can check us out on the app, which is the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, to carry us all day, every day. And with that, we are going to be taking a quick break right after this. welcome back to the show. This is Relax Radio with me, Nick, giving you guys a company. And hey, we're talking about all the whole Corona situation across the United Kingdom. And yeah, one of this is, how 1 million have finally received their first vaccine dose in Northern Ireland. That's right, Northern Ireland has been making progress, a lot of progress actually. So more than 1 million people in Northern Ireland have received a first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, and this is all according to the latest government figures. So this is about 69% of the adult population. So yeah, that's a huge margin. 69% of the population has gotten their first dose already. So Patricia Donnelly, who leads the Northern Ireland's COVID vaccination program, said she's determined. She was determined to maintain this momentum. So yeah, it's almost 6 months since the first vaccine was administered to Sister Joanne Sloan at the Royal Victoria Hospital last December. So yeah, the 28-year-old County Down woman was applauded by her colleagues after being given the Pfizer biotech jab. So a lot has actually happened ever since then. So Patricia Donnelly said health officials will be keep they will continue to keep vaccinating people as quickly as supplies would allow. So yeah, this is just a whole part of it. And they also said, as they've stated, supplies are limited at the moment. They're limited presently, but they expect that to improve by the time June hits. So this is all just a part of it. And yeah, it would also once again allow it asks people to to people waiting their turn to be patient, and that's what the government is saying. Be patient. Be a little bit more patient, you guys. Your time will come. You'll definitely get your dose of vaccine. So they say that all of this, they keep checking the online booking portal as the new appointment slots are being opened up on a regular basis. So that's what they're saying. Make sure that just because the vaccine is in high demand right now, make sure you guys who are based in Northern Ireland, make sure you keep regularly checking the online booking portal as new appointment slots are being opened regularly. So yeah, 7 vaccination centers were set up across Northern Ireland, while the SSE Arena in Belfast opened its doors as a regional center on 29th of March. That's right. So GPs, general practitioners, basically have also administered about 6,666. That is the AstraZeneca vaccine. So while 350 community pharmacies have given out 47,000 of the jabs. So yeah, Health Minister Robin Swan said he's received his first dose at his local pharmacy in Ballymena, the county Antrim, in March. So yeah, on Tuesday, Mr. Swan said he could not praise the program too highly, adding it was a massive logistical undertaking and had seen up close the dedication and the long hours that had been invested in making this whole thing work. So yeah, the vaccine, this vaccination saves lives. It is very important to our hopes as well of a better summer and of continuing progress against the virus. So it's been central to the progress that we've made. And again, he's saying, Mr. Swan has been continuing to say that he would like to urge everyone to get their first dose and their first jab and their second jab when their turn comes. And they're certainly looking forward to getting. He's also looking forward to getting his AstraZeneca vaccine, the second dose, in the coming of weeks. So yeah, uptake of all of this vaccine has been high in Northern Ireland, especially amongst the older group, with 100% of those aged between 80 are already having received it. So in the age group between 70 to 79, about 96% have inoculated, while almost 3/4, that is 74.8% of people aged between the age of 50 to 59 have received a jab. So yeah, early bookings for 30 to 39-year-olds opened this month, and to date, about 52% have had a vaccine. So although all this uptakes has been high, it has been slowed down because of the number of, if you really look at it, it's all about the demand, and the demand is quite high at the moment. A lot of people are coming forward to get the vaccine. A lot of people are booking their doses of the vaccine. It's not clear also whether it's got to do with the supplies, and all of this is also about the reluctance among some people to even get their vaccine. So these are just couple of the things that is happening with regards to this. And yeah, Northern Ireland looks like they've achieved a milestone. If you really think about it, the situation, like I said, has been drastically improving in these parts of the UK. So yeah, it just goes to show, a lot of people are getting down to it. And There's also, since we're talking about the vaccination, so COVID in Scotland right now, unvaccinated people become the focus of the Glasgow response. Yeah, that's right. So there's been a lot of these issues right now in Scotland, with regards to Glasgow. And yeah, this is just, a part of it with what is going on. These are just, some of the things that they are planning to do. And yeah, it just goes to show, what is the situation right now there when it comes to the COVID situation, especially when it comes to Scotland. So, like I said, all of this, the vulnerable people who have not taken up the first vaccine will be the focus of Glasgow's response to a major COVID outbreak. So, up to 15% of older people in some areas of Glasgow have not had their jabs, according to Scotland's National Clinical Director. So, yeah, Professor Jason Lech, he said that they were most likely to become seriously unwell as infection levels are in the rise in the city. So weekly case rates are now higher than 100 per 100,000 people. So the outbreak has been linked to the B1617.2 Indian variant and has led to the Glasgow remaining in level 3 restrictions back in Monday. So yeah, some much of the rest of the country has moved to level 2 though. So if you check about it, it's just that Glasgow is having this situation. There's been a lot of these outbreaks. There's been a lot of these, focus right now. They're the primary focus right now. So Professor Litch also said that the small percentage who missed their first jab would also now be targeted, and the ones most likely to get seriously ill, unwell, are the percentage difference between 100% and those who had managed to vaccinate in the older age group. So yeah, it varies a little between 10 to 15%. In some areas, it's only 5%, but 5% of a big number is still a big number. So it's still a significant number of people that we really want to get vaccinated. This is what he's been saying. And yeah, the Scottish government statistics show that in over the age groups of 50s in the city of Glasgow, 98.1% of the people had received their first dose. However, there could be hotspots within the local authority where the percentage was higher. So yeah, Professor Litch said that the health protection staff would also be targeting the group of people who have been given the first dose and now needed a second dose. So they also said, that they really don't care why, but they're not going to judge people. And if you want, if you they just want to see people, if they've missed their doses, yeah, well, they want them to get vaccinated. So they want people to come forward because they'd love to give them the full protection, especially when it comes to this whole outbreak. So the outbreak right now is focused in the south of the city, with Pollock Shields recording the highest rate. So how is Glasgow doing on the vaccinations? Well, like I said, more than 780,000 people in Glasgow have received the first dose of the vaccine, but there are some significant holes in the vaccination of vulnerable populations in the city. So Glasgow has only vaccinated 89.5% of the 80 plus age group. That is the lowest coverage of any local authority in Scotland by some margins. So there's 12 councils who have fully met targets in the oldest age group, and another 4 that have vaccinated 99% of the group. So it's similar story in the 75 to 79 age group, where Glasgow has the second worst record, with 95.4% have been vaccinated with a first dose. So only the Western Isles has a lower coverage, but the population there is vastly smaller rather, to just a few missed vaccinations, and that can make a big difference, to the percentage coverage. So yeah, this just goes to show, looking at the first dose vaccinations from those between the ages of 50 and over, Glasgow is sitting in the middle of the table, and it is the second worst record for all people aged 18 or above. So yeah, vaccinations for 56.2% of adults, whereas 22 local authorities have achieved coverage of 70% or higher. So only Edinburgh has coverage than Glasgow. They've had a lower coverage than compared to Glasgow, with only 53.8% of people aged 18 or over vaccinated with a first dose. So yeah, local health chiefs have put in place an accelerated vaccination scheme. So people in Glasgow between the ages of 18 and 39 are now being invited to get their vaccinations sooner than previously planned. So yeah, the NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde said it would be targeting the city areas of the Battlefield, Gorbals, and Hutchison Town, the Govan Hill and Ikenhill, Kingston West, and Dumbreck, Maxwell Park, Moss Park, Pollock Shields, and Strathbungo. So yeah, the health board also said plans were being finalized to bring forward second vaccinations for over 50. So yeah, these the issue of the vaccine supply was also a factor according to Professor Lech. So older people were given the Pfizer jab first when it became the first approved vaccine, and current advice is against giving the AstraZeneca vaccine to people aged under 30s due to the possibility of a blood clot risk. That's right, and there is that concern. So Professor Lich also said. That they absolutely want to do over the 18s as quickly as possible, but they need to do those with the non-AstraZeneca vaccine, and it's just a case of just working all of this out. And they also said that the offering vaccinations earlier to younger people in neighboring East Renfrewshire was not a policy yet. So yeah, the rate in East Renfrewshire is 86.9, well above the level 2 threshold. So yeah, there's been a lot of these changes that is happening right now in Scotland. So yeah, the council area, which is the south of the city, has moved down to the level 2 restriction, where indoor visits are now allowed. So there's good news. And Professor Litch also continued to say, that the situation was under review and that they would need to be advising the Scottish government this week with the new cabinet due to meet on Thursday and Friday to decide on any changes to the levels. So he also went to say, I'm hopeful that the vast majority of the country that we can stay on that path, but it depends on two particular things. It depends on the public health response and on each of us following the guidelines in each area. He continued on to say it was too early to tell if mass gatherings in Glasgow at the weekend had an impact on the number of the infection rates. So it just goes to show with the situation, the way it is right now, it is going to be hard. It is going to be spreading more. There's always going to be more cases, as time goes by. Hopefully it will reduce and people will follow the guidelines, and hopefully Glasgow can make a recovery from this. Because like I said, end of the year, there is also plans of the COP26 to be held in Glasgow. So if this continues, will this push back the dates further of the COP26? We never really know. What do you guys think? Let me know on the comments. You can always comment, give us our comments or opinions, or you can call me up and let me know. The numbers are 07852 473 473. Those are the numbers. And also don't forget to check us out on our website, which is www.relaxradio.net. And with that being said, we're going to be taking a quick break and we'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the show. This is Relax Radio. It's Relaks with me, none other than your very own Nick, keeping you guys company all the way in the final stretch of the show. And yeah, this is Real Talk. In case you guys are wondering, and if you have any of your opinions or your thoughts on the topics that we're talking about today, yeah, you can feel free to hit me up on those numbers 07852 473 Those are the numbers right there. Feel free to dial up and also check us out on our webpage. Like I said, www.relaxradio.net. That's right. We are pretty big on that. And hey, we got a lot of interesting stuff happening there as well. So make sure you guys check that out. And also, don't forget to download the app from the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. Carry us all day, every day. And also, yeah, like I said, we're big on all these social media platforms. So you can check us out on a lot of this. We are on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're pretty big on Twitter and Twitch as well. So check us out on those. So yeah, getting back to the topics at hand, though, what is happening right now in the UK? Well, Pembroke Dock energy projects have benefits that outweigh the heritage loss. Yeah, that's right. These are all the talks that they're talking about. So benefits from a £60 million marine energy project for far outweigh any detrimental impact on the area's maritime history. And this is the Pembrokeshire Council has said. So councillors back the planning application for the development, which is hoped will create 1,800 full-time jobs in the Pembroke Dock. So opponents say that the project will destroy the town's former royal dockyard, and the Welsh government will have to will have the final say after calling in the planning application. And the project, part of the Swansea Bay City deal, will enable technology developers to test marine energy devices in the Milford Haven estuary. So, however, the plans to fill and cover Grade 2 list slipways, a graving dock, and a timber pond used for shipbuilding have been described as catastrophic for the area's heritage. Yeah, that's right. And these are just topics that they are saying and that they are talking about, and they say this is just going to be affecting the overall the docking situation, the royal dock situation in the country. Yeah, this is just some of the things that is going on. Like I said, all of these topics, that the foreign topics that is going on. So the Royal Dockyard at Pembroke Dock is the only one of its kind in Wales and was founded in 1814. So objections have also been lodged over two new 130 feet high buildings to be built near the waterway and more than twice the height of any other structure in the area. So in approving the application by Milford Haven Port Authority, Pembrokeshire Council's planning committee added in amendment, they essentially added an amendment, and they're talking about, to reconsider the height of those buildings at a later date. So yeah, councillors decided that the benefits of the 27-acre, 11-hectare development to the local economy and to renewable energy targets far outweigh the detrimental impact on the historic environment. So Tim James, on behalf of the Port Authority, told the committee about the need to improve the port's facilities in order to create jobs for young people in the country. And yeah, the business cases for the developments have been backed by both the Welsh and the UK government. So they're saying, these are all just plans that are needed right now in the country for them to develop. But then people have been, raising and voicing their concerns about the possibility of losing the national heritage. But, the government does reassure the people and say, okay, although we're gonna lose a bit of the heritage, the energy project there's a lot of benefits that will outweigh this bit of heritage lost. So yeah, that's just some of the things that they are that is happening right now, essentially in Wales as well. When you think about the situation, and all this right now, since we're talking about all of this, there also is going to be a ban, on all gas boilers from 2025 to reach net zero. The plans, this is all about climate change, and the International Energy Agency, the IEA, says that no fossil fuel boilers should be sold from 20 to 25. So this is from the year 2025. And if the world is to achieve a net zero emission by the middle of this century. This is what we're supposed to do. So it's one of 400 steps on the roadmap to meet the net zero proposed by the agency in a special report. So yeah, the new sale of new petrol and diesel cars around the world would end by 2035. So yeah, the IEA say that from now there is no place for new coal, oil, or gas exploration or supply. So yeah, the report has been welcomed as an important contribution on the road to the COP26 in Glasgow, when countries will attempt to agree the measures needed to put the Paris Climate Agreements into practice. So yeah, in context, tackling the issue of how the world produces, consumes energy is the most critical endeavor. So the energy sector, according to the IEA, is the source of around 75% of the emissions of greenhouse gases that are driving up the global temperature. So yeah, models designed so they could switch to burn hydrogen could be an option, and will probably be around 100 pounds more than the 2000 standard gas boiler. So yeah, this will help the climate because it'll help the climate essentially, because hydrogen from renewable energies, okay, burn with no emission. So the climate advisory says though that it will probably only heat around 11% of the homes. That's right, that is something that they are talking about. And because hydrogen supply will be limited, some of these are expected to be warmed by heat pumps and will extract warmth from the air or the ground or from water, a bit like a fridge operating in reverse, which sell for between 6,000 to 18,000 pounds. So yeah, they subsided, but MPs say the government needs to offer more help to homeowners. And what's more, health heat pumps need high levels of insulation, which aren't always possible. So yeah, there are other technologies being considered, and geothermal heat may warm places such as Cornwall. Nuclear might also figure too, but the great task of shifting heating from gas will be expensive and difficult. So yeah, to keep the world safe, scientists say that the global heating has to be limited to 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of the century, and to keep close to that mark, emissions of warming gases need to drop by the half by 2030 and essentially hit zero in 2050. So yeah, the IEA's new study sets out what is believed to be a realistic roadmap to achieve that aim, while at the same time, they're creating millions of jobs and boosting the economic growth. And yeah, these are some of the boons, the pros rather, of what is going on. So by 2050, it envisions a global economy that is twice as big as today, with more than 2 billion extra people, but with the demands for energy dropping by 8%. So yeah, the authors, they say that their plan is to achieve this with no carbon. They don't want this carbon offsets and a low reliance on technologies to remove carbon from the air. So yeah, crucially, it seems it sees no place for new supplies of coal, oil, or gas. So yeah, the key steps to net zero in 2050. Well, fossil fuels falls drastically in the net zero emission scenario by 2050, and no new oil and natural gas fields are required beyond those that have already been approved for development. So no new coal mines or mine extensions are going to be required. And this is the road to the 2050 net zero. So emissions from electricity generation falls to net zero in advanced economies by it'll in advanced economies by 2035, and globally by 2040. So renewable, if these all of these renewable energies will drive their transformation, and up to 29% of generation in 2030 to nearly 90% in 2050. So yeah, the number of public charging points for electric car rises from around 1 million today to 40 million by 2030. So this is going to be requiring an annual investment of $90 billion by the end of the decade. So by 2035, nearly all cars sold globally are electric, and by 2050, nearly all heavy trucks sold are fuel cells or electric. So yeah, per capita income from oil and gas in countries that rely on fossil fuel productions falls by around 75%, from 1,800 to 450 by the 2030s. However, the IEA's route to net zero will require massive investments and international cooperation on an unprecedented scale. So it's also have direct impacts on consumers all over the world. So home heating with gas or oil is currently a major source of carbon emission in many countries, countries responsible for around 20% of the CO2 in the US and the UK. So the IEA path to net zero says that in just 4 years' time, there should be no new fossil fuel boilers sold except where they are compatible with hydrogen. So this will not be an easy shift. Essentially, it's not going to be easy for a lot of people to transition to from because we've depended most of our lives. If you check our generation, especially, has have depended on all of these gas boilers and all the petrol and the diesels in vehicles to transport us from one place to other. So for us to do a quick switch, general switch, eventually to this and transition to this is going to be very difficult. It's going to be hard. It's going to take a real long time. So they say, Maria Pastakova from the E3G environmental think tank said it may be very difficult because it means a massive turn in the consumption behavior. So yeah, the building sector is um, maybe one of the toughest ones because aside from the emphasis that the IEA has put on efficiency buildings, all the old existing infrastructure has to be retrofitted, and that's a particular challenge for government. So yeah, they're gonna have issues, with regards to that. And to meet this challenge, the world will need to install 4 times the amount of wind and solar energy than it did in 2020. So, yeah, this equates to adding a massive solar park every day over the next 9 years. So, by 2035, the government says there will be no more sales of new cars with petrol or diesel engines all over and so all the world's electricity and would be emission free by 2040. The plan is to get into this whole net zero in the world. So, while the scale of the change is unprecedented, the IEA believes it will create around 14 million jobs by 2030, while investments in energy production soar up to at least $5 trillion, boosting the global GDP. So yeah, this is just all the things that is going on. So one of the issues that has caused concern among a lot of environmentalists as well is the reliance in the report on unproven technologies such as carbon capture, utilization, and storage. So yeah, the CCUS. So these are worries about bioenergy, which involves the use of trees, crops, and plants to make liquid fuel or to generate electricity. So yeah, the IEA plan to net zero sees a significant increase of around 60% in energy sources, with an estimate that energy crops and forestry plantations will take up 25% more land that is used today for energy production. So these are just some of the things that they want to do, and the IEA is planning all of these things, and they're saying these are the steps that we are going to be taking as we move forward, as we make sure that the country moves on to the whole net zero. We're trying to stay loyal to this. We're trying to stay faithful. We've got to show that by the time 2050 hits, it's going to be zero emission. We're going to prevent an increase of the temperature around the globe by 1.5 degrees, because I'm telling you, we're at that threshold right now where if we are at that decade where if we don't do what we're supposed to do right now, if we don't take action, we don't take control right now, what will happen is the country and the world, for that matter, will fall in ruin and in chaos, because right now it's going to be very difficult. When you think about it, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take a lot of hard work. People are not going to be initially convinced that they should even be doing something like this. But these are just the steps that we need to take, as a government. We need to take this as a people, as the people of the world. We have to make sure, that we follow through with all of these things, because end of the day, we only have one planet, and this is the planet that we live in. We're all humans, and we have to take care of this planet, because there might not be a planet to save in the next couple decades. And that is a very unfortunate thing. Hopefully we can get through with this. And this is just, to leave you guys with food for thought. So make sure you guys, play your part, and hopefully the government as well can do what they can as the time goes by. But with that being said, it is about that time of the day for me to head on out of here. And you can guys, you guys can catch me again tomorrow on Real Talk, the same time, same place. And also, don't forget, like I said, to check us out on our websites, www.relaxradio.net, and you can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter. We go live on all of these social media platforms. And, you can always call us up and let us know what your opinions or thoughts are on the matters that, we've been discussing throughout the day. Hit me up anytime. It's 07852 473 473. And with that, my name is Nick. I hope you guys have an amazing evening, and much love.